Hi, boys and girls. So today for our reading, kind of have a complicated activity that we're going to do. So, well, not complicated, but it's got a lot of steps in it. So I thought that I would record it so that you guys can pause it and it can hopefully make some more sense. Okay, so what we're gonna read, we're gonna start with, in your red folder, you should have this story called Worst Assignment Ever. Okay, so I want you to pull out that piece of paper, and before we read, I want you to take a look on the back. So we're still working on asking and answering questions. So what I want you to do is you're going to start with this. And it says, before reading the text, look at the illustration and write a question that you have about the story. So we're not going to look at the words or anything yet, but we have an illustration right here. And I want you to look at that, and I want you to think about a question that you might have about what's happening in this picture. I'm noticing a little boy, he's got his head down on his desk. He has paper crumpled up. I see a broken pencil on the floor. So I want you to think of a question that you have before we even start reading it. Okay, so this gets us thinking about the story and helps us with how well we understand it. It kind of gives us a reason to read the story because we're thinking of the question that we have. Okay, so if I'm thinking of a question, I'm wondering if he, is he not feeling well? I'm wondering how he's feeling. Okay, so how is he feeling? That's a question, okay? But we have all our other question words, so you can think of your own question, okay? And I want you to write that question down and hit pause on the video so you can finish writing your question down. And then we're going to read the story together. Okay, so go ahead and hit pause. Okay, so hopefully you wrote your question down. And so now we're going to read the story, and we're going to read through it, and then we've got a little activity to go through after we read it. So I'm going to point to each word as I'm reading, and as you read too, I want you to follow along with your finger. It's really important. That helps us keep track, especially when we have a lot of text like this. As her class was leaving school Monday, Mrs. Williams told them that she would assign a big project the following day. Evan was excited. He thought it would be a science project, and he loved science. He started getting ideas on the way home about what he would do. When Evan got home, he told his family about the project they were going to get and all of his ideas. They could see how excited he was. He was already looking forward to Tuesday. On Tuesday morning, Evan went to school and sat through a few hours waiting for the class to start the science period. They had science, and Mrs. Williams did not mention the project. Evan was very confused. Why didn't she say anything? The next subject was social studies. Mrs. Williams told the class that their big project would be to write a paper about their favorite president. Evan was upset. He really wanted to do a science project, but didn't like social studies. This was the worst assignment ever. Okay, so there's our story. So now I'm going to set the story aside, and I'm going to get this paper. Okay, and this paper has some different boxes with instructions of what we're going to do with this story. So we're going to need some crayons. So go ahead and hit pause while you get your crayons out so that we can finish this. We're going to need red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. Okay, so hit pause. Okay, so we've got our crayons, and now first thing we're going to do, we're going to get our red crayon out. Okay, so you got your red crayon, and our instruction on our little box says use your red crayon to highlight who the story is about. So let's think, and we are going to underline or lightly color over. We don't want to cover the words where we can't read them, okay? So our story was about who? Okay, there's an illustration of him here, and I'm pretty sure that his name was Evan, okay? So I'm going to go through, and I see it says the following day, Evan was excited. So right here in my red crayon, I'm going to lightly color over Evan. Okay, so that's marked in red. That's first thing. Red crayon down. Next, we are going to need our orange crayon. Okay, so grab your orange crayon. Okay, our instructions say use your orange crayon to highlight what the character does in the story. So things that Evan does in the story. Let's see. He was excited. Okay, so I'm going to color over excited. He thought it would be a science project, so I'm going to color over science project. He started getting ideas. That's something else he does. On the way home, when he got home, he told his family about the project, so I'm going to color over that. They could see how excited he was. On Tuesday, he went to school. He sat waiting for the class to start, the science period. They start that. He got confused because she wasn't talking about the science project he was hoping for. Let's see, Mrs. Williams is doing something there. Evan was upset. So I'm going to color that orange too. Evan was upset. He really wanted that. And then that's just describing the assignment. Okay, orange crayon down. Next, we need a yellow crayon. Our yellow instruction says use your yellow crayon to highlight where the story takes place. Okay, so let's think. Where was Evan mostly at? Where did he go? He went home, so part of the story was there, but most of it wasn't. The main part was Evan went to school. So he was at school. So I had already kind of colored over that in orange, so now I'm coloring it over brightly in yellow. Okay, did that. Yellow crayon down. Next we need our green crayon. When does the story take place? Well, it takes place, I guess, just at school. So I'm thinking, oh, right here, on Tuesday morning. So Tuesday is a time. So it takes place on a Tuesday at school. Okay, green crayon down. Now, blue crayon. So blue crayon to highlight how the character feels. Okay, so he feels a couple different ways. First, he was excited. So I'm going to underline that. Maybe I'll circle it. At the beginning of the story, he was excited because he was hoping that it was going to be that science project. But how did it say he felt at the end? How does it feel? How did he feel? He really wanted to do it. Evan was upset. Okay, so I'm going to circle that part that he was upset. And I'm thinking that illustration goes with how he was feeling. Okay, blue crayon down. One last crayon. My favorite color, purple. Okay, use your purple crayon to highlight the answer to your own question in your text. Okay, so on the very back, before we started reading, we were going to ask a question. Okay, my question was, I was wondering, why was his head down? How was he feeling? So your question may not have been the same. So I want you to think about, look back at what your question was, and I want you to see if you can find that answer somewhere in the story, and you're going to color it with your purple crayon. Okay, so mine was, why is he sitting with his head down? And let's see, he was upset because he really wanted to do a science project. So I'm going to color that, but he didn't like social studies. So all of that tells me why he was upset, and that was the question I was wondering about. Okay, so good job. So crayons down, and now after we're done coloring up our picture, our story, we're going to go through, and I want you to answer the rest of the questions. So you can go back through. Now you know that story really well because we've looked through it a couple times. So you're going to answer those questions, okay? And put that in your red folder, and I will take a look at it either when you bring it back to school on Wednesday, or if you're coming to school on Monday, bring it with you in your red folder in your backpack on Monday. Thanks.